Yeah.
Sure. Hello. Right there.
Put it against the book. I don't know why you moved the bed behind. So now how are we gonna get it back?
Well, yeah, obviously people have to lift it lifts up and you put the other bed on top of it. It's light enough to move the frame with the mattress off of it. Well,
Look for evening clothes.
Bernie.
hello.
Hi, Bernie.
Where's your better half?
Right here.
Yeah,
Our
that's
air
it.
conditioning upstairs went kaput today.
Oh, no.
What
We're in
happened?
real trouble.
Air conditioner.
You wanna come sleep over here?
Yeah, well, it's between that and the maid's room. So far, the maid's room is
It's
working
good. The funniest thing is that I fixed up the maid's room.
because
I
we had
put
all the
in
kids coming for
my
Yontif.
twins sleeping there. So I put
Yeah.
in air conditioner, I put in a high riser, new beds.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Great.
And
Yeah.
where's Bernie gonna sleep?
The same room. Where's he gonna sleep? You can sleep on the
In the
floor.
same room?
Doing the ironing. I don't have time to sleep.
We spoke to someone else this afternoon. Their air conditioning also went out today.
Yeah.
Do you know anybody who's good for air conditioning?
Yeah,
My next door neighbor. Yeah, that's
Vago's son-in-law.
Erica Vago's son-in-law. His
What
name
is
is
it?
Can you
Yetzi.
send me the
Oh,
contact?
yeah. Hoffman is also the Hoffman is also an HVAC.
Oh, yeah?
Who?
You know Hoffman, Barish Hoffman's son.
Oh, that's what he
really?
does? I didn't know that.
Really? That's interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
let me go get the,
Maybe you can text it to Temi, please. Thank you. So you weren't in the desert this weekend?
No. We went to a Dodger game today.
Uh-huh. So because I spoke to Ernie. Ernie just came back. He was
Oh,
there.
he's right. He was in Pumpkin.
Yeah, said it was 117.
It was 103 in Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, I don't know. Were you sitting upstairs in one
we
of the
were
VIP
inside.
Suites? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's what your grandkids were telling Etty. Yeah,
Exactly.
I know already. Yeah,
You know the story.
the Gansamisa. Yeah.
Spending the Yerusha. Yeah, it's okay.
How are we all handling this heat?
Our air conditioning broke.
It broke? Oh,
Today,
no.
the upstairs, the bedroom.
You need someone, you need a repairman?
Yeah. Who do you have?
I have somebody coming tomorrow to give me a piece. I think he does air conditioning also.
What's his name?
I think I have the number. Should I send it to you?
Yes,
Very
please.
nice, thank you.
I haven't used him personally. I use him for other appliances. So, oh my goodness.
No, I think our problem is not the thermostat and not the unit itself, but in the duct system. So I need somebody who knows how to do ducting.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that's the
Okay.
problem.
Like
That's,
I may have someone. Okay, I'll have to ask, and I'll try and ask. I don't know if they do that.
Harold,
my
you would
goodness.
say
How
I
are
have
you
to get my
managing?
ducks
Do you have
in order.
fans? Do you have fans?
Huh?
No,
Do
we
you
have
have
air
fans?
conditioner. I just put one in.
We just went down to on the first floor. We have another bedroom, a maid's room, which is going to be suitable with an air conditioning. So it's
I
good.
just put in the air conditioning and new beds for my
Does the maid
granddaughter.
Does the maid
Well,
mind
your
you
grandchildren,
sleeping
Baruch Hashem. Okay,
Huh?
good.
It was
I
good.
would have
Good
invited
timing.
you over to a bedroom.
Yeah. That's very nice. Thank you,
Bernie, is there something going on with your air conditioning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The upstairs just went kaput today.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I'm going to ask
Wow.
some people about, you don't have
We
a
were out
repair
of
guy?
town, so we weren't running our air just today when we got back.
Oh,
I
you were
wasn't out
away?
of town.
he says it was 117
It was
degrees.
107, so we didn't really go outside at all. Very,
So
very.
where was the conference?
It was in Palm Desert at the JW Marriott.
In Palm Desert? Oh my
We
God.
stayed there. We've had a Pesach program there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's very nice.
Beautiful.
Yes.
It's fun.
So how did you get to the conference?
With an air-conditioned car.
Everything was indoor. Everything is
Everything's
indoors.
indoor. Plus, they provided us Chabad food. It was very
That's
nice.
good.
Fresh, homemade challah. It was so good. Oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah. What about the spa? Did you go to the spa?
No,
Well,
because
It was hot enough
We
out.
came,
no.
with 3.5 hours of traffic Friday afternoon.
Oh, wow.
I understand why Magda and Harold go.
You go
Wednesday
earlier,
or
right? When
Thursday.
do you
Yeah, I
go?
never go Friday. Never. It's the
Wow, it was 3.5 hours.
Crazy.
And we have the, we have the
Pass.
Metro Pass and all that.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's
Doesn't make a
good.
difference.
Every lane was crowded, right? All right.
It's crowded literally till banning. It was bumper to bumper.
Wow.
But it's nice. It's very nice.
Yeah,
It was filled with people.
Yeah, the
New people
Marriott
come-
was
It was
packed.
fun.
Okay, we are on Melachim Bays, Perek Ches. Last week, we finished
Let me get that. book.
the episode of the Arba Mitzrayim, the Haftorah for Parshas Mitzorah. And there was a terrible famine that was for 7 years that was afflicted to Yehoram, the Melech Yisrael, and the people who had not done tshuva for the Avodah Zarah. But they were saved because the Machane Aram was abandoned, and the famine was broken. So, Perikas. The Elisha diber el ha'isha asher hechye et bena lemor. We go back. This is the Isha Shulamit, the Isha Chashuva that had provided a room for Elisha to stay, like she was the Achsanya for Elisha. And Elisha had resurrected her dead son. There was Tchias HaMesim, the son had died, and he had brought the son back to life. At that time, the Navi says, Elisha had spoken to the woman, Kumi ulechi at ubeitech. Pick yourself up, you and your household, go, v'guri b'asher taguri, and flee, like it's said by Yaakov, vayomru el paro lagur ba'aretz banu. As the Haggadah says, Shelo yorad Yaakov Avinu leMitzrayim lishtakeh ela lagur sham, to sojourn there temporarily. So Elisha is giving advice. This is before the famine starts. He tells the Isha Shani, go. Ki kara Hashem larav. Hashem is going to bring a famine. V'gam ba'el ha'aretz sheva shanim, and will be in the land for 7 years.
Ernie, isn't it surprising? Wouldn't you think that she needed direction as to where to go, where the family would be, where it would not be? Why wouldn't he direct her and give her more specifics?
The Meforshim specifically say that Guri Basher Taguri means go where you want to go. Go, he just said leave here. Remember,
But of course, when she would want to go where there is no famine, so you would think that he would give her.
So word is out. Just like in the time of Yaakov, there was plenty in Egypt, so people knew where there was food. So he advised her, go, leave, because we learned Ra'av, you have to run. We said epidemic, stay put. We went through that Chazal last week. But with Ra'av, you have to go to a different place. And it's not that he commanded her or that Hashem commanded her to tell the woman. He did it on his own. Now, why is she called here the Isha Asher Hechayed Bana? Why not call her the Isha Shunamit? We're introduced to her that way. So the Kilas Yaakov explains that it's part of the Tchias HaMesim that he did. Wouldn't make much sense for Elisha to cause the child to live and then have him die of famine. What was the big deal to keep him alive if he's going to die in famine? So it's the Eitzah, to leave this place and go to a place where there's food is part of the Tchias HaMesim. The Gemara in Brachas Nun Hey Amid Aleph. Rav Yochanan. Shloisha Dvarim Machriz Aleim HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'atzmo. There are three things that these are not natural phenomena. There's a kriya, like Vayikra El Moshe, there's a kriya by Hashem about something happening. Three things. Eluain, Rav, famine, Sova, times of plenty, Uparnes Tov, a good leader. Dichsiv, Ki Kara Hashem LaRav. Here we have the pasuk that Hashem called the Rav into being. It doesn't come through natural means. It's a pekuda from Hashem, which we said it's probably oynish, it's a punishment for Yisrael. Even though they had seen all of the great miracles that Elisha had done, they did not do tshuva, and they continued in their ways of avodah zarah. Now, the Malbim says that this famine that Elisha is talking about to the Isha Shulamit is the famine that hasn't ended yet. The one that we just came out of, where in Shomron, they had to go eat out of the Machnei Aram. It's just in Shomron it was worse because there was a siege around them. Now Rashi, Hu ha'ra'ava sh'haya b'mei Yoel ben Petuel. There is Sefer Treasar, 12 Nevi'im, Amos, Yonah, Chavakuk, Zechariah, Malachi, 12 Nevi'im whose nevuas are included in the book Treasar. One of them is the Navi Yoel. The Rashi holds that Yoel lived during the time of Yehoram, the son of Achav. And in Sefer Yoel, Perak Aleph, Pasuk Dalid, it talks about Rav and Arbe, that there was a locust attack and famine in his time. And that's the Rav that's referred to here. There's a machlokes when Yoel lived. Some say he lived during the life of Yoram ben Achav. Some say he lived much later during the time of Menashe Melech Yehuda, the son of Chizkiah Melech. But Rashi says, when he opens up Sefer Yoel, he says, Yoel ben Petuel, ben Shmuel Hanavi, shepita le'el b'tfilaso. He seduced Hashem through his tfilas. That means he's a descendant of Shmuel. And others say that this Rav is the one that the Elisha talked about during the time of Yoram ben Achav.
Isn't it significant for the fact that it's Sheva Shanim, Sheva Shnei Ha'ra'av? Why it's always Sheva Shanim?
Tzvi is referring to the Chalomos of Yosef and Paro. That there also was 7 years of famine that was preceded by 7 years of good time. I don't see any of them of fortune that make any connection between the two events. I don't know why famines would come in 7-year cycles like this. But it's a good ha'ara. But I didn't see anybody who connected it to the previous Ra'avim. Okay, Pasuk Beis. V'tokam ha'isha, v'tas kidvar isha Elokim. So the Isha Shunamit followed Elisha's advice. She picked herself up. V'telech hi ubeita. She took her and her family. V'tagar beretz plishtim sheva shanim. She didn't move to Mitzrayim. She moved to the Eretz Plishtim. Now, the Malbim says she didn't want to leave Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz. She didn't want to be punished. Like who was punished? Elimelech. Elimelech, right? The husband of Naomi. the father of Machlon and Kilion, in the beginning of Sefer Rus. He left because there was a famine. Others say he was at Tsaras Ayin and didn't want to give money to the Aniyei Yisrael. But he went to Moab. Moab is, according to everybody, Chutz La'aretz. But Plishtim is part of Eretz Yisrael. How do we know this? We know it from Yitzchak Avinu. Yitzchak, when Avram offered him as a korban at the Akedah, so he becomes like a korban. You can't be magdish an animal and take him out of Eretz Yisrael. You wouldn't be able to again offer him. So as a korban, Yitzchak was prohibited to leave Eretz Yisrael. It says, Bereishis Chavav, Hashem said to Yitzchak, Shchon ba'aretz asher omar elecha. You have to dwell in the land that I tell you. And therefore, he was permitted to go to Eretz Plishtim. He was by Navi Melech. He didn't leave the Gvul of Eretz Yisrael. So, Masha'enken Navi Melech left, which was not part of Eretz Yisrael.
So the famine was only on part of Eretz Israel, not on all Eretz Israel?
Correct?
The north, I think, was it the north?
Well, it was certainly in the area of Shomron, which was the capital city of Yoram Melech Israel. That's primarily.
It also indicated that it was certainly targeted at that particular section who were cynic.
Yes.
It was very clear that that was the area that was targeted.
Yes. Yes, and Plishtim did not have famine. So she went to live in Plishtim. And it's interesting, therefore, that, all these cities, Gat and Aza and Ekron and Ashdod, these were all the cities in Eretz Plishtim, which were considered part of Eretz Yisrael. That's why there was such a hullabaloo when they pulled out of Yamit, because there were those people that said it's part of Eretz Yisrael. Pasuk Gimel. Vayi miktzeh sheva shanim, vatashav vayisha meretz Plishtim. The 7 years go by. She returned from Plishtim, and she goes vatetzeh litzok el hamelech el beita ve'el sadeh. So it's very appropriate that many of the participants of our Daf Yomi are also members of this Navi Shir. And one of the most important sugyot that we've been learning in Baba Basra is the concept of chazaka, taking possession of a piece of land, squatting there, and eating from the fruits of that land for 3 years. And the owner doesn't protest. And the person who's on the property has a claim as to what he's doing there. I bought it. I inherited it. So it's not just, I'm squatting here. No, he has a legitimate taina as what he's doing there. And the key problem is, if the owner doesn't protest and say, what are you doing on my field? A person can establish ownership of that field, eating from a field for 3 years without protest. So,
Oh,
what was that, Svi?
even if he has a star, the owner?
So we're talking about the owner lost the star. It doesn't have, that's why owners have to hold their star. He has a star with Adim. He goes with the star to Besdin and he kicks the person who's squatting on his field out. So that's a very strong reason why owners of land need to watch their star. But sometimes a person loses the star. But maybe he'll bring Adim to say that he was seen living in that field before the squatter came to live there. So there is no claim by a squatter if the owner has the shtar. We're talking about the owner lost his shtar. It doesn't have the shtar to present.
Or having Adam to back this.
And the squatter has to have a legitimate claim what he's doing there. I bought it and I lost my shtar also. Because if you bought it, where's your shtar? I don't have it. So they come to Bezdin, each one with their claim. So the halacha is, if a person was in a field for 3 years and nobody protested, and he has a good claim, he is now the owner of that field. He acquired it through chazaka. So now this Isha Shulamit was in Eretz Plishtim for 7 years. And somebody obviously occupied her field and her house. And she is now vatetzei litzok el hamelech el beitav el sadeh. Other people have taken occupation of her field and her house. And she's asking for her land and the payros. All the payros that grew over the last 7 years, she wants to be compensated for all of that.
Was it a famine?
There was a famine, and therefore, so there may have been some payros. If normally it produces 100 bushels, maybe during the famine it produced 10 bushels per year. Okay. Pasuk Dal. Ve'hamelech medaber el Gehazi. Our old friend Gehazi. Nar ish Elokim lemor. The Talmud of Elisha, who we know became a leper. The Arba Mitzrayim, the 4 Mitzrayim that was sitting outside the gates of Shomron, that was Gehazi and his 3 sons, who, because he accepted the gift of money from Naaman that Elisha had rejected because he wanted a greater Kiddush Hashem for treating Naaman of his own illness, and Gehazi created a Chilul Hashem, so he was afflicted with leprosy.
So Ernie, he was admitted even though he had leprosy.
So he either the Melech spoke to Gehazi outside of the city because the Mitzvah is not allowed to come into the city.
Right.
Maybe the Melech is standing at the gate. Okay, but remember, Gehazi is now a celebrity. Why? Gehazi is the one who comes bursting into the city to say that overnight Machane Aram has disappeared. And then the whole city rushes and they trample the officer at the gate to death. And the famine was relieved through the news of Gehazi. So, Hamelech medaber Gehazi nari shlemor. Sapran ali et kol hagdolot asher asa Elisha. The Melech is asking from Gehazi a detailed report of all the great miracles that Elisha had done. He had heard now maybe some rumors, and he wanted a detailed report from Gehazi about what Elisha had done. Sounds like the Melech had no knowledge of it. It says in Gemara Megillah that Chadamar Mokom Shemegadlim Bo Tefillah. Nisim occur where there's a lot of tefillah. Dichsiv Sapranali et Kol Hagdolot Asher Asa Elisha. Elisha did all these things through tefillah. And that's how the Maharsha explains there. That either you have Tfilas Harabim, where people gather in a shul, which we've already learned Tfilas Harabim is accepted more by Hashem. But you see Elisha, when he did a lot of his miracles, he did it through Tfilah. When he resuscitated the child, what does it say there? Vayizgor adelet ba'ad shneim, vayitpalel el Hashem. Then when it says that he created a vision of horses and chariots made out of fire. It says, Vayitpalel Elisha vayomar Hashem kach nat einav v'yireh. So again, tefillah. Elisha's tefillah was like if the Tzibor davens in a shul. Now you notice it doesn't say in every miracle that Elisha performed, it doesn't mention that he davened. But we assume that in all these other places he did daven. We do have to explain though, why dafka in those specific places does it mention that he davened? So the Akedas Yitzchak answers that not all the nisim that Elisha did was through tefillah. And Gehazi says over only the ones that Elisha did through tefillah, like reviving the Ben Hashunamis, which shows us the greatness of tefillah, but not by the other nisim. The Chassam Sofer wants to say maybe the other nisim were done with shemos, the shame of Hashem. Okay. And Pasuk Hey, Vayhi hu mesaper lamelech et asher echiyat hamet. Gehazi relates to the king the story of how Elisha had resuscitated and revived the dead son. And Gehazi goes on, it just so happens, now it's not just coincidence, Hashem made it happen. It was right at that time that Gehazi is asked by the Melech, what had Elisha performed? And now Gehazi is telling over the story that the woman shows up crying out to the king to get her land back. Yeah, this woman is the woman that Elisha performed the miracle for, and this is the son that Elisha revived. When I learned this, it reminded me of Mordechai in Megillas Esther, right? That all of a sudden, Balaylahu naded Ashnas HaMelech. The king is woken up from sleep, and he has the book read to him about what Mordechai, and then all of a sudden Haman shows up, and Mordechai show up. It's a very similar story here.
Also of note is the fact that Gehazi is giving credit to Elisha for performing the miracle rather than God having performed the miracle. So I at least that's what the Me'am is commenting, that he's not placing the credit in the right place. Maybe Elisha was the messenger, but it was God who's doing the miracle.
I have a source, Bernie, though, that he was going to praise the Almighty, but he wasn't worthy of the honor. And that's why, timing-wise, she came in and usurped that privilege that Gehazi, would have had.
Okay,
right, that too,
both
yeah.
Bernie and Barbara are right on point.
That was.
Shem created that at this time that she showed up in front of the king, that's when the king is asking Gehazi about the story, about the great things that Elisha did. Chazal say in Vayikra Rabbah, Amrav Levi, Matzinu b'Torah b'Nevim u'Ksuvim, she'ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu chafetz b'kiluso shel Adam Rasha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not want to hear praise coming out of the mouth of Rishonim. Min HaTorah, because it says by somebody who's Tomei, the Al Safei Yatev Tamei Tamei Yikra, that the person has to call out that he's Tomei, so people should daven for him. Min HaNeviim, and they quote this pasuk, Vayihu mesaper lamelech et asher chiyat hamet, v'nei isha asher chiyat b'nat zoaka. So What about the Chazal say maybe from behind the door? So Rabbanan said, "Filu b'sof ha'olam esita Kadosh Baruch Hu v'vir kadesh lo yitzapero torosha b'shmoch shel Kadosh Baruch Hu." He doesn't care where. He doesn't want to hear the praise coming out of a Rosh's mouth of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Because he doesn't want further praise coming out of the mouth of Gehazi for Kadosh Baruch Hu. As Bernie pointed out, he said, Asher Echiyeh et Benad was referring to Elisha. We see other references to Gehazi in the Gemara, Sanhedrin Kuf. Rav Nachman Omer, Apikora Zeh, Hakora Rabbo Bishmo. How does the pasuk end? Asher Echiyeh Elisha. He calls his Rebbe by his first name. Those of us who went to yeshiva know that you'd get a big frost. You would never call your Rebbe by his name. You'd call him Rebbe Moiri. He called his Rebbe by name. And that was the punishment he got was Ein Lo Chelek L'Olam Haba. The punishment of Tsaras was because he benefited from the money of Nama. So the Maharal explains in the Chidushei HaGadois, in terms of why Gehazi was punished. Why did such a bad Talmud come out of Elisha? So we learned in Brachos Yud Zayin, we shouldn't have an entourage like Elisha, because look who came out of the Talmidim of Elisha, Gehazi. If Gehazi would have treated his Elisha like his Rebbe, then the schut of Elisha would have protected him. But he didn't consider him his Rebbe at all. He didn't call him by the name of Rav. So the schus of Elisha didn't protect him.
But the schut of Elisha did protect her, and she didn't have to come up with any kind of documentation. One source says she didn't have to bring evidence, and that's in the schut of Elisha, that the stories coincided, and she was awarded her property in return. That was in the.
We're gonna see. It's a little bit more detailed than that in terms of based on din. What happened here? How was she awarded back her property? Let's analyze that. But okay, so pasuk vav, vayishal melech la'isha v'tisaper lo. So the melech asked details about the revival of her son, and she agreed with what Gehazi had said. Vayitem la melech saris echad. And an officer was given to her by the king. The Meforshim say that he was castrated. We know that there were people like that. Now, you're not allowed to, as a Jew, you're not allowed to do that. You become a P'sua Daka. You can't marry within Klal Yisrael because of that. Some say they took him from, he was a goy, he was taken from goyim. Or it happened bidei shamayim, he had an infection, and then you're not a P'sua Daka. And the king says, Heshivit kol asher la, make sure they return her house and her field, that called tvuot hasadeh, even the payros, miyom azva et haaretz ve'adata, for the last 7 years. So, why did the king paskin that then? That everything should go back to her, including the tvua. Because listen, during the 3 years that the muhzik, that the person who's squatting is there, he's believed that it's his field. She didn't protest from Eretz Plishtim. So she loses out, at least regarding the produce. You notice here, the king didn't even ask for what the squatter, what is his claim? Did he buy it from her? Did he get it? How did he get it? She didn't have Adim. It appears that the bias and the field were hers. She doesn't have a star. So how do we know that she was the original owner? She doesn't really have a claim against the Musik. So how is the king positing this way? What the Meforshim say is maybe she could have charged him rent, schirus, but not necessarily to have the tvua taken away. So at least on that question, the Ralbag answers. We have a Gemara. Hadar b'chotzer chaveru shalomi daito eno chayav al schar. You have a neighbor who goes to China. He leaves his house empty. And your children come to visit. The halacha is, you can move in and you don't have to pay rent to your neighbor. It's zenene v'zeloi choser. As long as you don't do damage, as long as you make sure that it stays the same. One person benefits and the other person doesn't lose. So the people who didn't go along with that is Sdom. That's called Midas Sdom. People are makpid. No, I'm not going to let you use my property. Even though I don't lose out. That's a very bad midah. So the Gemara ends up, when we learned it, poskening that way. So this man who's dwelling in the house of the Isha Shunamit and is not paying rent, so the Ralbag says, you don't have to pay it. Hadar b'beis chaver shalom midas ein tzarich l'shalom schar. It's a proof to that. Now, shouldn't the king have asked the guy who was squatting in this woman's field what his claims are? Maybe he had bought it from her and he ate 3 years chazaka. So with a claim of a purchase, even if he doesn't have a star, and that he ate 3 years without protest, it's his. Unless she brings proof that she was the prior owner. Now the Gechazi was one aide that said it was her house and her field. But why wouldn't the 3 years of chazaka of the muhzak outweigh the one aide? So there are explanations. Plishtim were attacking Eretz Yisrael. In the 12th year of Yoram, we'll see the Plishtim attacked Yehuda. And there was war going back at least 4 years. And in that period of time, chazaka doesn't work. Because people can say, oh, I couldn't protest because there were boundaries, there were war. So chazaka is not established during Shas Chilul. That's why the Melech commanded to give it back, because he couldn't establish chazaka during this period of time. What about the issue that she didn't have Eidim at all, that it was hers? The Malbim says, oh, Gechazi said it was true, but Gechazi is only one aid. So the Rashbam also says, from the Gemara Yerushalmi, Rav Amar ein chazaka l'boreach. Somebody who has to escape. Let's say the government is after him and he has to flee. So such a person can't protest. And also from Eretz, you flee from one country to another, the other person cannot establish chazaka because you can't protest. So machlokas Rav and Shmuel. Shmuel says you can't establish chazaka. So based on the fact that we paskin like Shmuel, we're back to the question, how did the king do it? So we have umdana de melech. We've seen many cases where the melech it's a king's law. It's a din shel melech. Even by din and nefashos, we've seen David HaMelech paskin that Churya should be killed. So he believed Gehazi when he told the story about the woman. Gehazi knew that Elisha had advised the woman to flee for the 7 years and to come back after a period of time. And therefore, she hadn't sold the field because he knew the eights of Elisha was not to sell it. So the answer was it's al pi umdin shel melech, but it was not al pi din. Al pi din, we've established that according to strict din, the melech wouldn't have had the right to throw the squatter off the land. Pasuk Zayin. New story. We shift focus. Vayavo Elisha Damascus. Do you remember Elisha was told in a nevuah that he's going to anoint Chazael to be Melech Aram after Ben-Hadad dies? That was a nevuah that came to him a few prokim ago. So Vayavo Elisha Damascus, u Ben-Hadad Melech Aram Choleh. Ben-Hadad, who was the king of Aram, was sick. Vayugadlo lemor ba isha Elohim arena. Ben-Hadad is told that, you know what, the holy man, the man of God, Elisha, is in town. And he had come for his own purposes to anoint Chazael to be the Melech. Melachim Aleph, Perak Yud Tes, Posuk Tes Vav. That's where the nevuah occurs. However, Chazal see something else. Sanhedrin Kuf Zayin Omid Beis, Sota Mem Zayin Omid Aleph. Why did Elisha go to Damascus? The Gemara asks, Lecha Azul, Amrav Yochanan, Shahalach Lachzir Gehazi B'tshuva. He went to try to get his Talmud, Gehazi, to do tshuva. However, v'lo chaza, he was not successful. Amar lo chazor b'cha. Elisha told, I'm reading the Gemara. Elisha told Gehazi, do tshuva. Amar lo kach mekublani mimcha, you taught me. Achote umachti arabim, someone who causes the rabbim to sin. Ein maspikin biyoda lasos tshuva. He is prevented from being able to do tshuva. Now, what did he do? What did he do that he was choite umachti the rabbim? Ikede amri even shoeves. That, if you remember, Yerovam had placed 2 golden calves for them to daven to, for them not to go to Yerushalayim. And Gehazi used a magnet to shoev mayim, is to draw water. So an even shoevet is a, Rashi says, beis mateches belo negia. It causes metal to without touching. Kein osa shelo azin klamnisa, which is a magnet. The magnet caused those metal calves to float in the air. So the people were impressed. It's like using electricity, which initially the magicians would use to fool the people that they're doing magic. He placed them in the middle of heaven and earth. Ikedi Amri, Shem Chokak Befia, that he wrote the Shem of Hashem, put it in the mouth of the Egel. V'haisamach rezes v'oimeres, Anoichi Hashem lokecha, lo yelecha lokim acherim. And this fooled the people, that there was reality to these idols. Ikidami Rabbanan Docha Mekameh, that Gehazi was one of these people that didn't allow Talmidim to come into the yeshiva of Elisha. He kept it as a ivory tower. You have to be perfect. Because later on, the Bnei Nevi'im told Elisha, oh, it's become tight. Because up until now it was not tight, because they were not allowed to have a lot of Talmidim because of Gehazi pushing them out. Okay. So a very interesting point is brought out by the Meforshim here. We understand what it means to be chote umachti. If you cause people to sin, you cause them to worship an avodah zarah, you're a chote umachti. But you notice this third thing was the thing that Gehazi prevented other Talmidim from coming into the yeshiva. So how is that considered machtias harabim? So when you prevent the rabbim from doing mitzvahs, you're considered a chote umachti. That's a big statement. You prevent people from doing mitzvahs, you're considered like a chote umachti. The Rambam says the same thing in Hilchos Tshuva. Arba ve'esrim dvarim ma'akvin es tshuva. 24 things prevent people from doing tshuva. Tzvi, we said, if you prevent somebody from doing a mitzvah, it's like you're a chote umachti. Arba ve'en oven gadol. 4 of these are if you committed very bad sins. Kodesh Baruch Hu does not sort of allow you to do tshuva. Lefi gadol cheto. One of them is machtias harabim. Says the Rambam, u'lichlal avon zeh hama'akev v'sarabim b'lasos mitzvah. The fair shtick of Rambam. If you prevent the public from doing a mitzvah, you consider chote umachti. Perhaps the makor of the Gemara and the Rambam is this story about the Gehazi preventing the Talmidim from coming into the yeshiva. The Maharsha explains, why is it if you do such a bad sin that ein maspikin lasos tshuva? So the Maharsha understands it mystically. Every time we do a mitzvah, we create a malach. Every time we do a chet, we also create a malach, but that's a bad malach. So we create bad spirits. Those spirits prevent you from being in a matzav to do tshuva. Vice versa, if you create mitzvahs, you have malachim toivim that help you do more mitzvahs, help you to do tshuva. Now, we have to ask the question, why is Elisha asking Gehazi to do tshuva? He knows he's a chote umachti. He knows that Hashem doesn't let these people do tshuva. So the Rambam in the Perush HaMishnayos says, ein maspikin means they're going to be prevented from doing tshuva, like it says, Vaychazek Hashem et leiv paro. Right? There, Paro never even had a chance. But later in the Yad HaChazak of the Rambam, in Hilchos Tshuva, it says, Kol elu advarim v'chayotzu b'am afal pi shema'akrin sa tshuva ein mo'nino so. It makes tshuva difficult, but it doesn't prevent tshuva. Ela im asa adam tshuva man, or is a bal tshuva, v'yesh lo chelik lo haba. So maybe that's why Elisha was trying to get whatever he can. And of course, we have a principle, kolabal taher, Messiah knows so. Anybody who comes to improve himself, Hashem helps him. So the Tosfos Yontif, that's how he learns that when it says, Ein maspikin biyara lasut tshuva, he doesn't get the siyua. Other sinners, once a person puts it in his head to do tshuva, then he's in the category of a balatar misayin lo. And clearly then, that's why Elisha asked, tried to get him to do tshuva. So why didn't he do tshuva? So again, the Maral says he didn't machashev Elisha as his Rebbe, didn't honor him properly. And if he had honored him properly and given him the proper kavod, number one, he wouldn't have sinned in the first place to take the gift from Naaman. He thought Elisha was mistaken that he didn't take it because they could have used it to feed people. Here, when he came to have Gehazi do tshuva, he didn't respect what he said. And Elisha wasn't zoiche, that is Talmud to do tshuva. We learned last week, like it says in Sanhedrin, Ton Rabbonim, Lo'olam te small doiche v'yamin mekareves. Lo ke'Elisha shedachafo leGehazi b'shtei yadayim. We said there's a way to push it with one hand and to be makarev with the other hand. But Elisha did it with two yadayim. Pasuk Ches. Vayora Melech el Chazael. Kach biadcha mincha. So Ben Hadad says to Chazael, take a gift. V'lech likrat ish Elokim. Go to Elisha. V'darashtas Hashem also le'moyachia michol izeh. Ask the Navi, am I going to survive from this illness? Am I going to live? Or told him to daven for him. Ben Hadad said to himself, I know that Elisha did not accept the gift from Naaman, who was his chief of staff. But maybe for me, the king, he will accept. We don't know from the pasuk whether Elisha took it or not. Some say, just like he didn't take the gift from Naaman, he didn't take it from Ben Hadad either. The Abarbanel says it was just food, so he did take it for the Talmidim who came with him. Pasuk Tes. Vayelech Hazael krato. Vayikra mincha biado v'chol tuv damesek. Hazael brings a gift from the best of Damascus. Masa arba'in gamal. 40 camels laden with goodies. Vayavo vayamad lefanav. He went and he stood in front of Elisha. Vayomer bincha ben Hadad. Melech Aram shlachani elayich lemor. That Ben Hadad has sent me to you, asking whether he's going to be healed from his current illness. Vayomer elav Elisha, lech emor lo. You notice there's a kri and eksiv. It's written lamed aleph, but we read it lo, lamed vav. Tell him chayot techyeh, he will live. However, in the same breath, he tells Chazael, V'yirani Hashem kimot yamut. But Hashem has shown me that he's going to die. But he's not telling Ben Hadad the truth. Why would the Navi do that? So the Musar Navim says that if the king would hear that he's going to die, he's going to die quicker. He's going to be in worry. And therefore, pikuach nefesh, mishum pikuach nefesh, efshar l'shakir. So you don't have to tell the truth to a patient. I was always taught to tell patients exactly what's going on. But here we see that there's an element of pikuach nefesh in lying to patients. If you think giving them the information will hasten their death, you can lie. Ki ein lecha dover haomed b'fnei pikuach nefesh. The Malbim says what he meant to say that from this illness you'll live, but you're going to die through a different thing. And that's true. Chazayel killed them with a different method. Okay. I'm going to stop here because it brings us to the next phase of this. And I'll entertain any comments or questions or wrote. Susie, I dropped this thing.
Okay.
Okay, have a good week, everybody.
Yes, stay cool.
Good
Stay
week.
cool.
Any questions, comments? No. Okay,
Okay.
very good. We'll have a good week and
Thank
we'll
you. Thank you so
same
much.
time next week.
Bye.
Get rid of these people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.